like me, you're probably feeling a little antsy and maybe a little bit impatient with yourself and your business, or both right now. I look back on the last few months of quarantining and I think, have I accomplished anything at all? This was supposed to be a great gift of time. Have I frittered it all away? Sure, I've caught up on all my favorite shows, but as a small business owner, have I done anything to support and sustain my business? Then it dawns on me. The fact that I'm even thinking these thoughts is a pretty big deal. It feels like a signal that my brain's like, hey, let's do some stuff. And that's very exciting. Like, it's almost a relief that I can and I want to start feeling accomplished again. But where in the hell do I even start? I mean, I've thought of so many frickin' things that I need to do, like start running, learn Spanish, do more social media posts, make a YouTube video, update my business websites, fix my paddleboard, start juicing again, wash my car, clean out my junk drawer. The list is endless. Well, that's where this video comes in. I'll share with you 5 steps to set goals for yourself even during a pandemic, so that you feel comfortable at the end of each day, but you won't have burnt yourself out mentally, emotionally, or physically in the process. Let's get started. Step 1 is to create a list. That is, think of and write down all the stuff that you would get done if you only had the time. This can be a list that is a combination of personal and professional items that you want to get done. And you can make this list whether you own your own business or work for somebody else, whether you work from home or you go into work, whether you're single or married, have dogs or kids, it doesn't matter. Just think about what it is that you would want to accomplish if you only had the time, and write it all down. And here's a little bonus from this step. It actually saves you precious brain power and emotional energy. Writing stuff down has been proven to ease stress and improve productivity simply because your brain isn't wasting time thinking about all the stuff you wrote down anymore. You wrote it down, it's in a safe place, your brain doesn't have to spend resources thinking about it. All right, let's go on. Step 2. All right, step 2. Now that you have that list, pick 1 or 2 things from the list. And this is very important that you only pick 1 or 2 things. You do not want to overcommit yourself, especially during a pandemic. So how do you pick which things to select? How do you go number 1, number 2, like your draft picks on your list? Well, look at your list and see what jumps out at you as either critically, vitally important or something that's super interesting to you. What have you been putting off the longest? What one thing would have the greatest benefit in your life or your business? Select 1 or 2 things, and you can mix it. It can be both personal, both business, 1 of each, like however you want to do it. But it's important to only pick 2. Otherwise, you're going to set yourself up for disappointment, especially during these emotionally taxing times. Start small, build some momentum, complete those 2 items, and then return to the list to pick more. All right, let's move on to step 3. Okay, step 3, make time and stick to it. Set aside time each day to chip away on your important tasks. So in order to get anything done, this may come as no surprise to you, but you actually have to set aside time to work on that thing. It might be pretty obvious, but most folks that I talk to do not do this critical step. They work on things like when they feel like it, which is never often enough to get anything meaningful done. So think about that thing that you want to get done, those 2 items that are on your list, and give a rough estimate as to how long you think that task is going to take. And then my rule of thumb is to always double it. So whatever you think it's going to take, let's say 4 hours, double that and make it 8 hours, just to be on the safe side and allow yourself plenty of time to get the task done. Then you put time in your calendar to actually do the work. Like literally make an appointment on your own calendar, whether it's your business calendar, your shared family calendar, whatever it is, wherever this task applies and wherever you will pay attention to it. And make that appointment for at least 30 minutes each day to work on the task. Now you're like, 30 minutes, why 30? Well, I find that chipping away at something a little bit every day gets way better results than think I'm actually going to sit down for 4 hours in a row and knock something out. All right, so now you've got your 2 tasks, you've got your calendar, you've got your 30-minute increments where you're going to set aside time to work on that thing. How long do you keep it going? Well, do some simple math. So if you estimate that, say, your project is going to take a total of 8 hours because you doubled your 4-hour estimate from the step above, you're spending 30 minutes each day, then it should take you 16 days to get that task done. So block your calendar with those appointments that you're plopping in yourself for at least 3 weeks to make sure you have plenty of time to get this work done. The last part of this step is to stick to your calendar. It's very, very important. So I don't literally mean like, okay, it's 8 a.m., I must work on my task now. No, but it's close to that. The idea is to make sure you're spending at least 30 minutes every day. So the time of day doesn't matter as much as just sticking to sitting down and doing the work each day. And here's a little insider tip for you. I pay attention to my energy levels during the day, and I try to schedule my work according to when my energy is highest or lowest. So for example, if there is something that I just hate doing, I have to be doing that task when I have high energy, or I'll find every excuse to not work on it. During my blah times, like when my energy is not that high, usually in the mid-afternoon, I schedule things that I really love doing, like learning and giving to others. All right, let's move on to the next step. Step 4 is to focus on the here and now. What can you reasonably accomplish in the next day or week? Especially during these unusual times, being realistic about what you can accomplish is very important. What you can actually do right now or in the next week is very important to identify. A project that might take you a month or more may not be the best thing to start with while you're just getting back in the saddle, getting back into the swing of sitting down and committing to doing work each day. Be reasonable with the expectations that you have of yourself. There is nothing more demotivating than not being able to do what you expect yourself to get done. And that leads to a very vicious cycle because now you've failed at something, you're less likely to work on a task in the future. All right, final step, step 5. Step 5 is keep it small. Break big tasks down into smaller chunks so they're easier to complete. This is an age-old project management technique, and it truly works. It has survived the test of time for a reason. If you think about how huge the work effort is, your brain actually will sabotage you into never starting the work. Was Rome built in a day? Absolutely not. Instead, wrestle that big project to the ground by breaking it into smaller chunks. So for example, instead of listing a task like create my new website, break that up into steps. First, you find a domain name. Second, you figure out who the host is going to be, then determine the layout. You get the idea. These broken down steps then go into your daily 30-minute chunks so that you're spending time chipping away at creating your new website. And before you know it, that big task won't seem so daunting, and you'll be making progress on it every day, little by little, which fuels your motivation to keep working on it. It's way better than just letting your brain tell you, building a website is hard and it's going to take a lot of time. Let's find some new brownie recipes to pin instead. All right, well, there you have it. A few steps that you can take right away to start feeling accomplished again, both in your personal and professional life. I hope you found this helpful, especially during these crazy times where it's just so dang hard to get motivated to do anything. Please feel free to leave a comment on what works for you, and if you'd like to chat with me more about a specific situation, I'm here for you and I'm happy to help. I'd like to give a shout out to Jennifer Fabiano, whose article in The Ladder titled How to Set Goals During the Coronavirus Pandemic, According to the Experts, was the primary fuel and inspiration for this video. Take care, everybody. Until next time, this is Kathy, the Savvy Maven.